What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the barbershop window that Marty Jannetty threw Shawn Michaels through. I'm your host, Dirt.
Olá, meu nome é Tiffany e todos os erros neste vídeo são intencionais.
Ain't it just like Brockhampton to pull some shit where it just completely changes and destroys the other video I was working on? 2 scrap videos in 2 months. You know what they say. If you didn't have bad luck, you wouldn't have any luck at all. But that's not true. I have some good luck. And you have some good luck too. Because the hardest working boy band in show business, Brockhampton, has decided to allegedly end their career with a bang rather than a whimper. So, where do I begin? I'll be transparent with you guys. Okay, maybe not that transparent. It's okay to laugh if it was funny, guys. Damn. This video was originally supposed to be more of a Brockhampton retrospective, you know, their career, their discography, some of my favorite songs, and watching them journey to become the artists that they are today. And that video isn't even off the table. If you want to hear me talk about Brockhampton and my favorite albums and moments from their career, please let me know in the comment section below. I'll pencil it in during my lunch break. But as Brockhampton does, they pulled some shit that would make this video in its original format way too long. Because of the way that the group ended, it was just so fascinating to me, and I wanted to dedicate its own video to it. And I just really wanted to talk about the band's alleged last albums. Oh, and I keep saying alleged last albums because Brockhampton, more specifically Kevin Abstract, is known for, how you say, crying wolf. Saturation 3 was famously promoted as Brockhampton's final studio album, so excuse me for wanting to cover my ass when they eventually release an album 2 days after this video goes live. I assume you already know a little bit about Brockhampton, but for sake of storytelling, I'll give the too long didn't read version. So, here are the basics.
Brockhampton, self-proclaimed boy band / musical collective comprised of vocalists Kevin Abstract, Don McLennan, Merlin Wood, Matt Champion, Joba, Bareface, and Amir Van, producers Romil, Jabari, and Kiko, and behind-the-scenes creatives, art designer Henok Seleshi, or HK, photographer Ashlyn Gray, designer Robert Ontiniant, and manager John Nunes, all either friends from school or met online from a Kanye West fan forum. That aged well, didn't it? Moved into a house together and worked their asses off, dropping 3 of the best albums of 2017 and my teenage years, the Saturation Trilogy. Off the hype of these 3 records, the group was signed with RCA Records in early 2018. But a few months later, member Amir Van would leave the group following multiple allegations, scrapping their upcoming album and leaving the band wounded. But they would get back on their feet, as all people do, and under RCA released multiple albums, 2018's Iridescence, 2019's Ginger, and 2021's Roadrunner New Light, New Machine. A few months would pass and the group would announce an indefinite hiatus in 2020, and during a Coachella set in April, they would announce their final album would be released this year. And we come to present day. Or a few months from present day. This chapter in the story, let's say. So some more time would pass, and Brockhampton would announce their final album a month ago, The Family, and slowly promotional stuff and songs would trickle out. We got the album cover. It's pretty cool in my opinion. I wouldn't really say it's a Brockhampton album cover though, but at this point, what is, you know? The album cover looks pretty cool by itself, but when you zoom in, you see a bunch of little Easter eggs from the group and their past discography. I think it's pretty cool. And more promo would occur until the lead single would be released, Big Pussy. I wasn't actually a huge fan of this song when it was first released, but after more and more listens, I started to come around on it. But something people noticed that was strange about this song was the only vocal presence on here was the de facto head of the group, Kevin Abstract. None of the other members appeared vocally on the song or even in the music video, which is strange, but it's one single out of a fucking, 17-track album, so I mean, The next and last single released for the family was The Ending, the second to last track, ironically. And this was more of a consistent lukewarm reaction, but again, slowly I started to warm to the song a bit more. I like the sample use and the absence of drums, it really gives it a cool vibe. But again, Kevin Abstract was the only voice on the song, which made people, including myself, a bit worried. Was the final Brockhampton album going to be a Kevin Abstract solo project? This theory would start to hold a bit more weight when people started referring back to a video released by the group just a few months ago.
Made something. It's not a solo thing, it's a group album.
So, fast forward a week or two, and the release date for the album was weirdly on a Thursday, November 17th. And not just a Thursday, but 8 a.m. on a Thursday. A very weird time to release a beloved group's final album. But if it's written, it shall be done. And Brockhampton's final album, The Family, was released on Thursday, November 17th, the allotted time and day. Now allow me to present my credentials for my fandom real quick. I love Brockhampton. I've loved Brockhampton ever since I heard Boogie right after the release of Saturation 3, and I've been hooked ever since. I've listened to every album they ever released countless times, even the unreleased ones. I was eagerly anticipating Iridescence, and I remember running into the dairy freezer at my old job, so no one would bother me as I watched the Jover music video when it dropped. And I attended their concerts in Philadelphia not once, but twice, the I'll Be There tour and the Heaven Belongs to You tour. So I don't want to get parasocial or anything, I mean that's what a love of music does to people, but The Family represented a culmination of that multiple year infatuation I've had with this band, and if they were going to concretely say that this was their final album, then my brain was going to put that on a pedestal as an important moment to me. And the bizarre release didn't quell my worry, and then I listened to it. Now, don't get me wrong, The Family is a perfectly fine album, but as one of my favorite group's final albums, deflated would be an understatement. I set an alarm to listen to this thing. I mean, granted, I set it because I had class that morning, but I listened to it before class, so I'm counting it. And from the first song, I knew that none of the other members were going to appear on this album, and I was correct. Kevin Abstract is the only vocalist on The Family. I mean, member Bareface, aka Kieran, was credited as a producer for a large chunk of the songs, but vocally, this is a solo piece. And like I said, it's not a bad album at all. There's some great moments on here. Gold Teeth is a standout for me. I love the chopped and screwed pitch down samples and assorted percussion on this song. It sounds very eerie. The aforementioned Big Pussy is a banger, even if it took a while to grow on me. The booming bass and impactful drums give it a grimy and dirty sound. And even though it's a very short track, Basement is a brash and confident banger. Deep 808s with perfectly matching drums, and Kevin's ice-cold vocal delivery was definitely a vibe. It was hitting for me. However, it didn't really feel like a legendary group's final album. It was all just Kevin, and throughout the songs talking about the group, the members, and what happened to them. I think the only part where this felt like a finite ending was the closing song, self-titled, Brockhampton. Again, just Kevin, a vintage vocal sample, and some strings, but the subject matter is where it's impactful. Kevin just opening up and reminiscing about how close the group once was, shouting out each of them, thanking them individually, and essentially apologizing to them about how things turned out. A semi-appropriate closer for the magnitude, but again, it just felt off without the other members. The Family can be essentially boiled down to a Kevin Abstract apology to the group about how he acted and how things ended. So I finished listening to the album and I felt a little weird about it. So I decided to go on Genius, maybe see if one of the members was on a track that I just couldn't tell, see if there are any credits or any of that kind of stuff. And then I proceeded to open up Genius and I was confused. What the fuck is TM? Now, before we jump into me learning about what TM is, I'd like to take this time to thank the sponsor of the video, Skillshare. You know Skillshare, it's the one-stop shop for premium courses taught by industry professionals. Years ago, I actually used Skillshare to start learning graphic design from Aaron Draplin's legendary logo design course. And I've been taking a stroll through memory lane and sharpening my skills at the same time. But recently, as you may know, I do make music. I've been watching Grammy Award-winning musician Jacob Collier's Music Fundamentals course, Explore and Create Your Unique Sound. I've always wanted to rely less on sampling and start making stuff organically, and this course really gave me some perspective on the building blocks of music like melody. The song you're listening to right now was actually made using tips from specifically Lesson 4, Creating a Melody. And I know a lot of my audience are aspiring musicians as well, and I think this class is perfect if you have your ideas, but you need that glue to form them into something cohesive. You can get access to that and so many other courses in so many different areas with my link in the description for a 1-month free trial. Learning and developing new skills is extremely fun, fulfilling, and it makes you a more well-rounded creative. So remember, click the first link in the description for a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. On me. A big thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring the video, and now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. It led me back to Brockhampton's official Twitter, and an image was released reading "The Family out now," but in very, very tiny text on the bottom right hand corner, "Surprise album TM Midnight Local." When I read that, I felt like the fucking universe finally opened up to me and everything was clear. The Family was not Brockhampton's final album. They had one more surprise final album. Release The Family at 8 a.m. the day before so the usual Friday at midnight slot can be filled with the new album, and intentionally tamper expectations with a still solid but bizarre final album and hype up the real final album? It's pretty freaking smart. And this was only announced in fine print on their Twitter, so not everyone knew about this. But as word of mouth spread, everyone's original theory was, oh, they pulled a Frank Ocean. Make an album for a label to fulfill a contract, then make your real album independently. But that's not the case, because on the back cover of TM, it says it's still released under RCA Records. My personal theory was that they had a 5-record contract with RCA. They made 3, but they didn't know if they would feel in the headspace to reliably make 2 more. So, Kevin presented the idea of a solo Brockhampton album, so they can make their 4th album technically their 5th and final. But that's just a game theory. But it was official. Artwork and tracklist were released. By the way, love this artwork. It's extremely simple, but it works for this final album. I love the design of the little people, and it's a great contrast from the Everything Everywhere All at Once of The Family. And I mean, now we wait. A music video premiere for New Shoes was up, and all we had to do was just wait a few hours for a new Brockhampton album. And midnight came, and TM was officially released as Brockhampton's final studio album. Probably. This felt much more like a swan song for the group. Everyone was present on this album, the instrumentals were much more diverse, and even the classic all-caps stylized song titles were back. And the hyper-serious and cinematic The Family music videos were replaced with the fun, bright, and jovial vibe from earlier Saturation music videos. In a parasocial way, this was a weight off my shoulders. This was how a band is supposed to go out. Be it bizarrely, but together and triumphantly. And the album is pretty freaking good. Maybe not my favorite Brockhampton album, but it's definitely great. And for Brockhampton standards, that's leaps and bounds ahead of anyone else. The album leans more in their sound developed from Roadrunner, a more alternative trap sound, which, granted, wasn't my favorite iteration of Brockhampton sound, but it's Brockhampton. Whatever they do is going to be a step above the rest. The opener, FMG, is a great start to the album. A simple drum beat with distorted squawks and synths. As the group returned to show, they're still great at what they do. Keep It Southern, even though it's the shortest on the tracklist here, I think this has the best Kevin Abstract hook on this project. And I think I could even make a case for this being one of my favorite Brockhampton hooks, period. I just can't get it out of my head, which is how you know you got a great hook on your hands. Not to mention the extremely impactful instrumental, Merlin rapping his ass off, and energy that is just unmatched from any other band. Man on the Moon will be their most popular off the album because it's so catchy. The hook is fantastic. I love the fast drums, and the group parts are all so catchy, and it's not even a hook. They are sugar of this album, if you will. Crucify Me is a slow-burning ballad with beautiful soft piano keys and a simple but effective drum line, with everyone vocally bearing their chest and getting into their emotions. A very good song. Brockhampton does ballads amazingly. And speaking of ballads, the final track, Goodbye, went for more of an energetic ballad, but it's still great. Joba's part is very innocent and vulnerable. He's fantastic at presenting that. And Matt Champion's singing brings a similar vibe. My only complaint would be, if there was ever a time for a grand, gigantic 7 to 10 minute song with every single group member on it, this would be the time. But that's just fantasy booking from me. If Brockhampton's plan was to send their fans on an emotional roller coaster until the very end, then I'd say mission accomplished. Seeing what this band has managed to become from incredibly humble beginnings to being one of the hottest signed acts in recent memory, to a musical project that will stay with me and sure millions of other people even after their disbandment, is nothing short of impressive. It's a shame to see the direction that the band went with their friendship, but hey, shit happens, people change, and friendships end. I kind of feel for them, you know. Imagine you, the listener, if thousands of people daily were giving you shit about ending an old friendship. It'd be pretty maddening. So, what I will say, unless this is all a work and everyone's totally fine and I take the biggest L in human history, thank you for the memories. And it's not like all the members quit music. We now have so many amazing musicians in the music ecosystem that fantastic albums are not going to be few and far between. I'm glad the group can get together and send the fans off with some kind of closure to this whole crazy story that they've had. And even if the album isn't their best, and I know a lot of people are divided on that right now, god damn it, I like it a lot. And I'm extremely excited to see where all the members go from here. So Thank you, Brockhampton, for the memories. The best of luck in your future endeavors. Rest in peace, Brockhampton. You would have loved Quedeca. Thank you for watching. I always appreciate it. I was going to paint myself blue for this, but then I remembered I'm not a fucking mark like the other people who discuss this band. I'll keep this outro short and sweet. Listen to Brockhampton, they're fucking excellent. If this is the first time you're hearing of the band, wow, you have a lot of catching up to do. They've released like fucking 17 albums, so you got a lot of stuff to listen to if you're just learning about the group now. But aside from Brockhampton, check out catchingbigfish.store, my merch. I'm wearing it right now. It doesn't look cool. I announced it last video, and thank you guys so much for supporting. It literally means the world to me. This was just such an incredible undertaking, and seeing how it's going just makes me incredibly happy, so thank you for that. Appreciate it. Support the channel on Patreon for a bunch of cool perks, check out my social medias, and check out the podcast I'm on or run. Everything I just said will be linked below. But yes, that is all I have to say about Brockhampton, the family/TM, in this video. Thank you for watching, I always appreciate it. And as long as you remember that Iridescence is probably my favorite Brockhampton album, with Ginger a close second, then you're good to go. So thank you for watching, I appreciate it, and have a pleasant day.